Tesla Gigafactory 3 is now a reality. It is now a thing. It has an address. Tesla had finally purchased a piece of land in Shanghai, China, 210 acres or so. They spent about $140 million, which does sound pretty good on the grand scheme of things, right? And now it's a beginning of something really big. I know the real estate transaction news is not per se sexy, but it is a major part of the strategy that Tesla has, and therefore the entire electric car revolution. So let me tell you how we got here and why this is important and why this whole situation is pretty fluid because, you know, of all this tariff wars and between Trump and China and all of that stuff. And I'm not going to get into politics of it. I'm just going to tell you what the numbers are as they varied and why it is important for Tesla to get this going and why I think they will get this going faster and cheaper than people believe. And I know what you guys thinking, you know, well, this is China, it's far away, why are we talking about it? And yes, China is far away, trust me, I know, I just visited. It is really far away, it's even further when you're flying coach. I really didn't think I was going to get sensation in some parts of my body after that flight, but it is very important. I know I have a much better understanding being there. I was checking out Byton's new factory there, but I got to know more about how things are done there and the fact that if you are good with officials and local government and you are on a fast track to get things done, and things do get done much faster in China than they are, you know, here in North America or even in Europe. So this is going to go fast. And here's the picture, by the way, that that was posted at the event. And you know, it's always funny to me because these Chinese business announcements always look like it's the reception of the wedding, right? I mean, it's got flowers and it's funny. But they all look very colorful. And but nevertheless, this is a final deal of purchasing this land. All right. Let's talk about history, and by history I mean the last 3 years, and why this is super important for Tesla and you. Even if you live in America here and in Europe, you are looking forward to the Model Y, right? Well, I'll tell you why it's important. Before that, real quick, let me just remind you guys that this show and this channel is sponsored by Evanex. I can't believe I couldn't pronounce it for a second. By Evanex, the aftermarket accessories for Tesla. They are not getting a Chinese factory. I think they're going to keep the way things are because things are going very well. You can purchase it at their store. And if you're going to do that, make sure to get into the description of this video and dig up that little discount code that they've provided to us, this E4Electric community. So go ahead and save yourselves a few bucks. So back to this news. And, all right. So as you guys know, that originally the cars that were imported into China had to pay 25% of tariffs. And that was really hard to compete. Tesla was having a hard time competing, but they were still selling tons and tons of cars. You know, they've sold billions dollars worth of cars. But now that we got into this different tariff war, at first it got better. China actually lowered it to 15%. But then, as they didn't really get along with Trump, they ended up going all the way to 40%. So Tesla is being punished by 40% margin, and that's not it. The cars that are being made in China are also qualified, if they're electric cars, for a 15% incentive, which essentially makes it now 55% difference between what Tesla, you know, is selling them for right now and what they could have been doing if they were selling them and making them in China. Now, the deal is this, and the deal is kind of being rolled out by the Chinese government right now. The first beneficiaries of this are manufacturers that are making all electric cars in China. They will pay no tariffs. It will roll out to other automakers, but China also is enforcing some of their new regulations where they require 10% and then I believe 20 and 30% of all cars that are being imported or made in China to be all electric or at least have an electric powertrain. I should check on that. Actually, that's a big deal. I think it's just electric powertrain. Nevertheless, that's pretty aggressive. So if Tesla starts making cars there, they will be at a major advantage. They will roll back this 55% essentially punishment for importing the cars. And because they make nothing but electric cars, they will be pretty much the first auto manufacturer to benefit from it. And it is a big deal. Now let's talk about what they're trying to do here. And by the way, here's the reason that China is, whether we like it or not, the biggest market for electric cars. It's not North America or US or Europe or whatever, and not even Norway. I know we love Norway and they're kicking butt. But as far as the number of sales, as far as the incentives, China is definitely leading the world in terms of what they want to do with their electrification of their transportation. It is insane. There's a lot of money being put in it, and they're definitely winning. As a matter of fact, unless you watch my show a lot, you probably don't know that the two car manufacturers that make the most electric or plug-in hybrid electric cars, you probably never heard of them. One is Biotti, and another one is Bike, right? You either never heard of them or don't even know what they look like, unless you've seen my show. But that's how big the things are in China, and we don't even know that, right? This is why it's important to make sure that Tesla does sell cars in China, sells them at the competitive pricing, and this is why this factory is important. This factory is also important because that's where they're going to be making the Model Y. You know, this is this is important for all of us, I think, because that they have no space more here at this factory. I need to learn how to point. I really have a 50% chance of pointing in the right direction, and I always lose. This factory right here, there's no more space there. They need to make a Model Y somewhere else, and that's going to be the Gigafactory 3. And of course, they need to make more Model 3s for China, and it's also looks like going to be in that factory. And the Gigafactory 3 will kind of be a combination of the Fremont factory and the Gigafactory Nevada, where they will be making batteries and cars sort of in the same facility, which is obviously going to makes things faster, better, and cheaper. Okay, so people are saying, well, you know, they're targeting 500,000 cars per year. That's what the output of that factory is going to be. They're going to try to get it built and up and running in 2 years, and with a budget of $2 billion. A lot of people are saying, whoa, that is way too fast. This is Elon Musk's timeline. And yes, I would be the last one to defend his timelines. They are almost never correct. But being in China a few months ago and learning how things done, you know what? This is not that crazy of a timeline. Things go up there real quick. 2 years is really not that big of a deal there, and I think they're going to meet that deadline. $2 billion, that may be a little bit more difficult depending where they're going to be building their robots. As you know, they're building them mainly in Germany from Grumman Automation. That's the company that they acquired, and that's the company responsible for their robot automation and building. That cost would be pretty much the same, except for you'll have to import it and bring it to China. So $2 billion maybe not going to happen, but the labor, the parts, and, you know, just building stuff out. And as you can see, the land was only, I think this is a pretty good deal, 140 million US dollars. I think that will definitely keep them to that budget, at least relatively, even if it's not but $3 billion, that's fine. I know people are also freaking out, like, where are they going to get that money? I have no problems with them raising money through all kinds of, you know, ways. I believe they're going to be raising it there in China, and they already started, and that should not be a problem, I believe. But that's a whole different video. So this is why this is a big deal. Now that the factory has the address, and they are going to start, you know, construction, I'm assuming almost right away. This is paving the way to stronger sales in the biggest market for Tesla, which will benefit Tesla and benefit all of us who are Tesla customers and all of us who are electric car customers and dreamers and enthusiasts. But it will also pave the way for the Model Y. Now they can maybe announce it with more confidence, saying, okay, at least we know we're going to make it, and going to start probably the process of creating relationships, or, you know, creating new SKUs for the parts for the Model Y, and kind of get that on the road. So this is really good news. By the way, guys, if this is your first time here on my channel, if you're interested in getting up to date on everything that's going on in the world of electric cars, you came to the right place for sure. There's a subscribe button down there. That's free. You can click on it, and that way you won't miss anything moving forward. But for now, this is pretty much it for this exciting news. I'm looking for your comments in the comment section. I always love to read them and sometimes feature them on the show. Other than that, see you next time, and remember to stay charged.